Here we have the HTC Butterfly and the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 for a hardware comparison. As you can see, the Butterfly from HTC is on the left. It's a really nice uh, 1080p screen. First time you're finding a 1080p screen on a phone. Next to it, we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, one of the most selling phablets or large screen phones of 2012. So that's the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 on the right with a 5.5-inch screen. So as you can see, the phones, the Galaxy Note 2 looks a lot more bigger, but still it's a phone. The Note 2 is called by some as a phablet. The HTC Butterfly, on the other hand, is not really a phablet, but as you can see the screen, it's almost as tall as the Note 2, but it's pretty narrow on terms of the screen size. So it not can be a phablet or cannot be a phablet. We can debate about that. But then we'll quickly compare the designs of these. So as you can see, the HTC Butterfly, pretty nice design phone, pretty good screen. You have a 1080p 5-inch screen with a 1980 by 1080 pixel resolution, and on the side you have the nice red design cues, and on the back you have the nice soft touch finish along with the camera and the speaker and the Beats audio. So this phone actually was launched in Japan initially as the Butterfly, and now they're bringing it to other markets as well. It was also launched as a Droid DNA in the US on Verizon. So it's in India now, finally. So you have it here as well. So the Galaxy Note 2 was unveiled last year at IFA in Berlin, and it's been selling for quite some time in India as well. So both in terms of the pricing, the Note 2 is slightly cheaper than the Butterfly, but more or less in terms of features, both are neck to neck. So in terms of weight, the Butterfly is about just about 140 grams, pretty light for a phone of this caliber, while the Note 2 is about 182 grams, pretty heavy, mainly because of the 3000 plus mAh battery. And if you see the sides, the Note 2 is actually slightly thicker than the Butterfly. The Butterfly has a curved back to it, but as you can see here, it's almost the same. It's barely about 4.4 difference between the two, and the front of the phone is pretty much dominated by the keys and the screen. And as you can see, the Samsung Note 2 has the home button in the center. This is a capacitive key on the Droid, the HTC Butterfly. There's no menu key on the HTC range of phones, so you'll have to use the other on-screen controls and all that. But there's no multitasking key on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, but the HTC does have a multitasking key. So that's the front, and the back you have plasticky materials on the Galaxy Note 2, while the HTC seems like a polycarbonate finish, but it's kind of soft touch, whereas this is like glossy plastic. As you can see on the back, the Galaxy Note 2 also has a stylus or the S Pen, because mainly due to the huge screen, 5.5 inches, and so in terms of comfort, in terms of holding it in the hands, the Note 2 would be slightly difficult to hold in one hand and use, whereas the Butterfly would be slightly more comfortable than the Note 2. But here's the tricky part with the Butterfly. Since the screen is a bit long, using it with one hand doesn't really cut it, because you'll have to stretch your thumb to reach the top. But it's a lot more portable than the Note 2. So it's kind of a trade-off between the size and the usability. So given a phone to pick, it's pretty hard to either pick the Note 2 or the Butterfly because both have interesting specs. But the Note 2 does have an edge on some areas like the battery life, the removable battery, and the back cover, whereas it's all sealed on the Butterfly. So let's talk a little bit more about the display on both these phones. So you can see the Butterfly, as I told you earlier, it has a 1080p display. It's one of the first phones to pack a 1080p screen. And a lot of phones are going to be coming in this year, as we saw at CES, which also pack a 1080p screen. But the only one in the market right now is the HTC Butterfly. So it has a really nice screen with a 440 ppi, so it's one of the highest pixels per inch in the mobile display segment, and also very good. You have very good viewing angles, and the UI, especially the Sense UI, as you can see here, looks pretty awesome on this kind of display. As you can see here, you have the clouds and the moon, and it looks as if it's going to be popping out of the screen. And especially when the date or time changes, it's basically pretty cool on the eyes, and that's a pretty good thing about the HTC Butterfly. Um, but the sad part is HTC doesn't include a stylus like the Samsung Note 2, which actually extends the possibilities of using a phone with such a large screen. But then the Butterfly is also not trying to be a phablet, so it's still a phone. So HTC could justify not including a stylus with this phone. So the Note 2 on the other hand has a 5.5 inch Super AMOLED screen, but the since the resolution is only like not full HD, it's just 720p. Uh, so you get a screen with a 1280 by 720p resolution, and it's only got 267 pixels per inch. It's still pretty good for basic usage and even playing back movies and other content. And the good part about the Note 2 is it has a removable back cover. So let's come to that later. So the internals in terms of the display is pretty good, and the stylus extends the possibility of the Note 2. So basically, when you take out the stylus, you get a S Pen mode activated on the screen. So you don't. So basically, if you go into apps like Notes, you could see that in action. So you have. Let's create a new note and say we're going to be going to the screen here. So basically you're able to use the screen to a very good kind of usage, and it looks pretty well researched since it's using some technology from Wacom, which is one of the pretty famous stylus makers, especially in the digital imaging space. So it's pretty nicely done, and the S Pen works in other scenarios as well. So as you can see, we have the stylus here, and it's pretty cool. You can actually hover over an album and you can see the images which are inside it. So Samsung has really gone out and made pretty good use of the stylus. So that way it's pretty useful functionality. So we'll talk about this more in the software part. So in terms of the internals, both are running on quad-core chipsets. The Butterfly is running on the all-new Snapdragon S4 Pro APQ8064 chipset, whereas the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 is running on a EXYNOS Quad 4412 CPU. So both have about 2 GB of memory, and both have about 16 GB of onboard storage. And HTC normally doesn't include a micro SD card slot, but on the Butterfly they've actually included a micro SD card slot as well. It's a bit tricky to get to the micro SD card slot. So as you can see here, the Butterfly has a opening here or flap here, and opening it gives you access to the SIM card tray and the micro SD card slot. So as you can see, this is the way you get access to the micro SD slot. So it's a bit tricky, not the easiest way to get a card inside, but I don't think you're going to be changing cards very often. So So you can get up to a 64 gigabyte card on the phone, and you have about 80 GB of storage. And the same thing applies for the Note 2 as well. So it has a micro SD card slot. Both use micro SIM cards, so that's a good thing. And so that's about the storage and the internals. So let's now move on to the camera side of things. So both have decent front and rear facing cameras. On the front side, both have almost a 2 megapixel camera here, front facing ones, which are both capable of HD video recording. The HTC one, the Butterfly, has better front video capture than the Galaxy Note 2. The Galaxy Note 2 does only 720p HD video capture on the front, whereas the HTC Butterfly does 1080p even on the front camera. That's a good thing. And on the back side, as you can see, both have a similar location in terms of the camera placement. So you have the camera sensor and the LED flash right next to it. So both have 8 megapixel sensors on the back. The HTC Butterfly has a f2.0 lens, and it's also capable of full HD 1080p recording. And the good part about the HTC Sense UI, it lets you capture photos while recording a video, so you don't have to miss the moment wherein you don't have. In the past, you couldn't capture video and take photos at the same time. Whereas with HTC Sense, the new UI, they've enabled. It was present in the HTC One series as well, but it works even more smoothly on the Butterfly because of the powerful internals. So that's the HTC Butterfly. The Samsung Galaxy Note 2 also has an 8MP camera, and it's pretty similar to the Galaxy S3, but feels nicer to use on the Galaxy Note 2 because of the large screen. It gives you very clear view of what you're recording or what you're taking. So it also does 1080p video capture, and the quality is probably both are the same territory. So it's pretty hard to say. Both are not as good as, say, Nokia 808 PureView or the Lumia 920 or the iPhone 5 in terms of video, but still pretty decent in terms of the footage. So here is one department where the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 trumps the HTC Butterfly. Samsung has always been putting really powerful batteries inside the phone. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 packs a massive 3100 mAh battery inside, whereas the HTC Butterfly just has a 2100 mAh battery, or slightly under that. It's about 2100 battery. So the good thing about the about the Galaxy Note 2 is that you can actually remove the back cover. As you can see here, I'll just go ahead and remove the back cover, and kind of afraid I'll break it each and every time. Typical Samsung build quality. So as you can see here, you have the battery, 3100 mAh battery right here. You have the micro SD card slot and the SIM card tray as well. The HTC Butterfly though has an internal sealed battery. You can't really open it or access it. That's a bad thing. And the best part about the Note 2 is that if you actually buy a spare battery, you can last for pretty much a week with the phone, whereas the Butterfly might require a daily charge at least once. So that's the battery comparison. So the Galaxy Note 2 kind of beats the HTC Butterfly in the department, although it has a bigger screen. In terms of the software, both are running on Jelly Bean Android 4.1.1. Even at the time of launch, Samsung launched the Galaxy Note 2 with Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, but it got a minor update to 4.1.1. And in some areas, whereas HTC Sense is good, so the HTC Butterfly runs on the latest version of Sense, which is called Sense 4 Plus. So the Galaxy Note 2 runs on the TouchWiz UI, TouchWiz 4.0 or something like that for Jelly Bean. So as you can see, some things are cool on HTC Sense, like you have the animation for the date and the time and the effects for the weather and everything. It's pretty cool. It's pretty dumb on TouchWiz. But in terms of productivity, Samsung has gone out and made a lot of features. Like for example, there is one feature called multi-screen or multi-view, where you can basically use the phone to do multiple things on the screen at the same time. For example, I'm going to be opening, say, the video player, and say I'm going to be playing a video. So I'll just play this. So another feature is pretty cool is the pop-up play, where you can play the video while you are doing something else. So for example, I'll do that again so that you can see it. So I'm playing this video right now. I'm doing a pop-up play, and then I want to go to Google Maps and check out something. So video is playing at the same time. I can see the map. It's really cool. With the overlay, can be floated anywhere, and that's a pretty cool thing. So let me show you multi-view again, so that you'll get an idea about the multi-view. So you have the video player at the bottom, which will fill the entire bottom half of the screen, and you have the maps on the top. This is a really cool use case, and you can do multiple things at the same time. And the best part, it even works in the landscape mode as well, and it's very useful for reading and like checking your emails at the same time. And the phone doesn't seem to slow down even with multiple apps open at the same time, so that's a very good thing. So in terms of the sense from HTC, kind of loses out in this area. So this is the one of the apps, the multi screen. Then I showed you what the pop-up play. So basically the Note 2 is so much loaded in terms of features. You'll be discovering new features then and there. It's humanly impossible to figure out what are the features the Note 2 offers in terms of the software, and that can be a good thing as well as a bad thing. So some people seem to appreciate the TouchWiz UI, whereas some people are just overwhelmed with the kind of software tweaks it offers, and going with a plain vanilla Android experience. So that's the software side of things. So in the Sense UI, you have really some cool things. Like for example, you have the multitasking view, which is like this. So this is called helicopter view or something like that. So you can basically have multiple apps open and home screens open, and you can see it from a single screen. And another cool thing is the multitasking view, which has this dedicated button. So if you want to just kill this app, you can just do it from the screen. So one of my minor gripes about the HTC UI and the experience is that the lack of a menu button. So some apps, for example, they have included it on the screen, but for most apps you'll have to do alternate things to get your way out. Whereas it's pretty nice that you have a menu key with quick access to settings. So you have a power saver and settings screen right here on the HTC UI. But as you see, the HTC UI is a lot cleaner than the Samsung UI in terms of the colors and the fonts, and the same thing, you go to the HTC or the Samsung interface. As you can see, it's all black and a bit cartoonish. So some people seem to like that, whereas some people seem to like this. Um, so this is the two UIs side by side. So that was a quick comparison between the HTC Butterfly and the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. If you like any one of these phones, either the HTC Butterfly or the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, hit like on this video, and also to subscribe to our channel for even more videos we'll be bringing to you later on the same channel. So that is it from me. So that was Varun from Phone Arena, and that was the HTC Butterfly versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 2.